Welcome back to the channel, guys. It's Christopher here from Cars Unlocked, and I just wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about some ways you can close your customers or some closing verbiage that you can use to close your customers. Let's check it out.
Have I come at a bad time?
Gerald,
This is Cars Unlocked, Chris.
he's our best closer.
So we were just doing a review of this Versa, and I saw a comment coming in saying I struggle with closing or don't know what to say when the time comes. So I wanted to share with you guys 3 closing techniques that you can use to help you close more deals and get more sales. Now, I'm also going to include one bonus little tip at the end there that you guys can learn from. But the first way you want to present numbers to your customers, doing an option close. So you can present them with 2 different payment options, however you want to spin it. It could be, hey, a lease option or a finance option. You could do, hey, option A is with 0 down, option B is with 3,000 down, and then you just say which option works best for you. This is very basic sales training, guys, and if you are not using option closes or you're struggling with closing, try an option close. I'll say, hey, on a 5-year loan, the payment is this. On a 7-year loan, the payment is this. Which one works for you? And they say, oh, I think option B will work. I'll say, great, let's lock that in. Congratulations. When do you want to pick up your new car? Something like that. Very smooth, just 2 options, present them. Both options are gonna be a yes for you. So don't say, do you wanna buy it, yes or no? That's not an option close. Both options need to be yeses for you. And you wanna present them with 2 options so that whatever one they choose, you're gonna like what they hear. And then you say, great, what day works for you to pick up the car? Or perfect, now all we need is a deposit. Something like that. Now, usually the way I flow is when option 2, where I just assume the close. I go through my 10-step sales process, which I teach you guys in my Cars Unlocked Academy program. And if you've gone through these 10 steps, you can just assume the close. It usually takes about 45 minutes to an hour to go through these 10 steps. So I'm just assuming the person is buying the car. And a lot of customers don't really want that hard close. You can just assume that they're buying the car. And in my tip at the end, you're gonna see how this really comes into play. But usually what I'll do is I'll assume the close, where I just assume that they're buying the car. I'll go through the 10 steps of my sales process, from qualifying to presentation to test drive to trade and appraisal to the presentation of numbers. And then I'll just assume that they're buying the car and just say, okay guys, like the next step is we move on to taking a deposit on the vehicle and preparing it for you. Or I'll say something like, okay, now we just need to get you approved for the financing and meet with my finance manager. And I just go through the whole sales process and assume that they're buying the car from start to finish. And this is something you always want to assume anyway. If you are automatically judging people thinking they're not going to buy today in the first step, you're going to be off your game and it's going to negatively affect your sales process. So just do the assumptives close. Just assume that they're buying the car, present them the numbers, be like, hey, this car works out to $250 bi-weekly. We can have you with our finance manager right after we're finished here. And you can just assume that they're buying it and just don't even say if. Say, the next steps, you can meet with our finance manager and they'll get you approved for the financing. Just assume that they're buying the car. Now, if you guys want to learn how to level up your car sales game, I put a free masterclass online for you guys to check out. It teaches you how to sell 25 to 30 cars per month. I made over 200 grand selling cars per year. So I want you guys to get on that level. Check out my free masterclass. I'll link it in the description below and you guys can learn how to level up your career. And then if you want to learn more, sign up for my Cars Unlocked Academy training course where I really dive deep and I talk about those 10 steps in the sales process that I talked about. That's really the meat and potatoes, how to go from start to finish with your customer and close more deals. Little bonus tip that I mentioned in the course, if you are flowing through the steps of the sales process, one of the steps in the sales process is the trial close or an indirect close. Now what this is it's kind of like a nonchalant closing question that you want to ask your customers, not in a hard setting, but in a soft setting. So I usually ask them when they come back from the test drive, just a soft close or an indirect close or a trial close, a few different terms to call it, so that you can know already if they're ready to move forward. So typically when a customer comes back from the test drive, I'll say something to them like, well, what do you think? Is this the one? Or hey, have we found the one? Something like that. Hey, like, did we end your shopping here? Those type of things. If it's a customer I've been calling for a long time, I've been phoning them and following up with them, I'll be like, hey, did we accomplish our goal and do I get to stop calling you now? Something just lighthearted like that. The customer isn't going to assume you're asking them a closing question, but you are asking them if they're going to buy the car. And that's really allows in a sauce setting. If you ask a hard close when you're sitting down in your office right away, they might say no, and they might be kind of shocked by the hard close or feel pressure by the hard close.
You let him talk to me like this?
Cars Unlocked.
Speaks for the firm.
But if you ask them nonchalantly when you're out on the lot after they've come back to the test drive, they'll usually say something like, yeah, I think this is the one, or I think so. Something like that to give you a gauge of where you're at in your sales process. And if they say no to your trial close, you need to revert back and help them find a different car and maybe ask them a few more questions as to why they're saying no to your trial close and jump back to your step. The last thing you want is to be sitting in your office, all done the presentation of numbers, and they say something like, oh, you know, we want to buy the car, but it just doesn't have a sunroof, or we don't like the features of the car. You want to flush those objections out right away, and the trial close is a good way. So that's a little bonus tip for you guys. My third kind of lesson for you guys on how to close more deals is take advantage of your finance managers, guys. That's what they're there for. Usually I'll just pass them along to the finance manager right after I've done all my presentation of numbers and agreed to a payment with them. My finance managers, usually they're floating around the dealership, so I try to introduce them to my customers throughout the sales process. So often I'll just say to them, hey guys, remember Jeff, the finance manager you met 10 minutes ago? Well, he's going to get you approved for financing. Let me go grab him and he'll go through the next steps. And that's really just a closing question, and he'll come in, do the credit application, get them approved, and set up their delivery and do his job. And if they say, oh, well, we're not ready to meet with your finance manager, then you know that they're not buying. But usually I'll kind of lean on my finance manager for a little bit and be like, hey guys, this is Jeff. The next step, you're going to meet with him. He's going to get you approved for a loan and set up your delivery date. Super easy.
Barely an inconvenience. Oh, really?
Use your finance managers to your advantage and make your finances aware. Be like, hey, as I go throughout my sales process, I'm going to lightly introduce you to my customers so that when they meet with you, they've already met you and there's a little bit of rapport built. Woo! So there you have it, guys. Real quick, just wanted to jump on here and teach you guys some ways to close your customers and present the numbers. If you guys have questions, please let me know. But like I said, message me on Instagram. My Instagram is @carsunlockedchris. If you guys have personal questions, I love getting questions and comments from you guys. Subscribe if you're new, and check out my free Cars Unlocked Academy Masterclass if you want to hone your craft in car sales. Thanks again.